surviving the mass shooting in Las Vegas.
We ran, and we ran.
Vancouver Islanders describe running for their lives.
Everybody was panicking, people were screaming, and we didn't know who to trust.
A young man from Victoria celebrating his birthday in Vegas is hit twice.
We're just so thankful and relieved that Sheldon is going to be okay.
We'll have the latest on his condition. And learning more about the gunmen that holed up in a hotel room and opened fire on thousands.
There's exactly no logic where my brother would have done this.
CTV News at 6 with Andrew Johnson.
Good evening. 2 Canadians have been killed and 5 others injured in the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. A young man from Victoria is among the victims. He was shot twice and is recovering in hospital. We'll have his story in a moment. First, the latest on the attack that came from a hotel room high above a concert that has claimed 59 lives. And a warning, some of this video is graphic.
It happened at, of all places, a festival where thousands of country music fans had gathered on the Las Vegas Strip. That's when Stephen Paddock, a retired 64-year-old, took aim with a high-powered, rapid-fire gun, smashing out the window of his hotel room, 32 stories up, and firing hundreds of rounds at the concertgoers below. Penned in, one man called it a kill box.
People just started dropping around us, a lot of dead bodies.
Country music star Jason Aldean ducking for cover along with everyone else.
My buddy got shot 3 times, and then everybody knew there was a shooter, so everybody pretty much dove on top of each other.
Among the dozens killed were Canadians, including Jordan McEldoon of Maple Ridge, BC, and Jessica Klimchuk of Valley View, Alberta. Police racing to the scene zeroed in on the gunman's room and set off an explosive device.
Breach.
Inside, the suspect was found dead.
We believe the individual killed himself prior to our entry.
Police say he checked into the Mandalay Bay Resort 4 days ago, and they found as many as 10 rifles in his room. They say there is no evidence it was tied to a terror group. And Paddock had no police record. His brother says he's baffled.
He's never even drawn his gun. It makes no sense. He's never hit anybody.
The U.S. president characterizing the shooting this way.
It was an act of pure evil.
Police executed a search warrant on the suspect's home in a retirement community. In front of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, the Vegas Strip is still closed to cars today, but a steady and solemn procession of pedestrians has come here to see for themselves where it happened and to ask the question that still cannot be answered: why it happened. Tom Walters, CTV News, Las Vegas.
In that panic-filled crowd in Vegas were several Vancouver Islanders. One of them was 21-year-old Sheldon Mack. He's the son of former CTV anchor Hudson Mack. Sheldon was shot twice and rushed into surgery. Victoria's police chief was there too. CTV's Rob Buffum has that part of the story.
As bullets pierced the night air, Victoria's Rick Cohen was caught off guard with thousands of others trying to figure out if he was hearing the sound of gunfire.
There was hundreds of bullets a minute coming.
The veterinarian could see the gun going off in a hotel window. He grabbed his girlfriend, and the two navigated a sea of panicked concertgoers, trying to flee the attack that was claiming at least 59 lives, wounding over 500.
Everybody was panicking, people were screaming, and there was a lot of crying, hysterical people. It was a horrific experience.
One of those injured, 21-year-old Sheldon Mack, visiting from Victoria, shot twice, suffering a broken forearm and ruptured colon. He was pulled to safety by a Good Samaritan. His family credits with saving his life. The son of well-known broadcaster Hudson Mack, Sheldon is a former Mount Doug football player. This afternoon, he tweeted this from his hospital bed: "So much evil in this world, thanking God for watching over me." Also grateful for his survival, his former football coach.
I'm still shaken. It was one of those things I heard about this morning, and I was absolutely just shocked. It's just an unbelievable event.
The massacre touching multiple Islanders, including Victoria's Police Chief Del Manick, on vacation with his wife, suddenly thrust into lockdown for 4 hours in a theater in the same hotel as the suspected gunman.
I could see a lot of kind of raw emotion coming out, and yeah, it was very, very surreal.
The terror stretched through the night. False reports of multiple gunmen triggering more fear. Blocks down the strip where an ER doctor from Victoria and his wife were caught in the panic.
This was by far the first time I've ever been truly frightened for my life. It was just absolutely terrifying because we were caught up with this herd of people running through back hallways in the hotel.
Part of the mayhem endured by thousands whose night in Vegas took an unthinkably terrifying turn.
Rob, Sheldon Mack has just spoken from his hospital bed in Las Vegas, recuperating from surgery after being shot twice. What's his message tonight?
Well, Andrew, he says one of his friends got hit by a bullet in the back and he was shot in his forearm and hip. He also says he and his friends helped others at the concert during the attack. And here's some more of what he had to say.
It all just kind of unfolded so quick. I got hit in the gut initially, but I didn't really realize at first. And then there was a group of girls who were in a bad way. And then I got nicked again, and I was bleeding pretty badly. And I kind of just panicked and looked for anyone who could help me. And I had my friend use his belt as like a tourniquet and cut off the blood. But it all happened just crazy fast. It seems not real. It seems like a nightmare. Kind of woke up with some battle wounds. Yeah, I have 2 bullets in me still. I have my hip and my forearm, but I had like major surgery last night when I got up, or when I got in here, and they removed like my whole colon too, and big ordeal. It was weird waking up in the morning and just seeing like CNN and all those places saying like 50 to 60 like confirmed dead, and then seeing people who I saw at the concert and stuff, and then they just, yeah, it takes you back.
Sheldon Mack is expected to make a good recovery, and Andrew, politicians are weighing in tonight. In a statement, Premier Horgan saying the senseless acts of violence in Las Vegas are horrifying and incomprehensible. Our hearts are with all affected by last night's shooting. Andrew.
Okay, we're glad to hear Sheldon Mack's doing okay.
Absolutely.
Rob, thanks very much. More now on the young man from Maple Ridge who did not survive the massacre. Jordan McEldown was attending the festival with his girlfriend. Tonight, he's being called a hero for saving her life. CTV's David Molko has that story.
Jordan McEldown was just a few days shy of turning 24. He and his girlfriend Amber were in Vegas to celebrate. Photos from their Facebook pages show the pair at the same festival 1 year before. Always together, always inseparable. He worked so hard at his work and looked after his girlfriend. His grandmother, Ann Norman, told CTV News, describing her grandson as a great guy, very kind and caring. He always looked out for his Nana. Jordan McEldown worked as a mechanic for Jacob Brothers Construction here in Surrey. One of his colleagues posting a very brief message on Facebook. No words. Those terrifying minutes still murky. You're a true hero for saving my sister's life, wrote his girlfriend's brother on Facebook. I know you will always be looking down and watching over her to protect her. Another friend writing that McEldown would have saved everyone if he could have, because he was one of the best guys I knew.
Canadian consular officials are working closely with U.S. authorities to identify and help any other Canadians hurt by this dreadful attack.
The Premier calling the shooting senseless, the maple leaf flying at half-mast at the legislature and in Maple Ridge.
To lose a child to something so violent and so hateful is so utterly horrific that my heart goes out to them, not only as mayor, but just as a parent.
Where the loss of this young life is just beginning to sink in.
People from BC are beginning to make their way back home from the terror in Las Vegas last night. It's a 3-hour flight from Vancouver. And people landing at YVR this morning were still shaking, trying to come to terms with what happened. The flight from Vegas landed at YVR at 10 this morning. Passengers describing a chaotic scene along the Vegas Strip. Some people under lockdown in their hotel rooms for hours. One man was at the concert and just started running as soon as he realized bullets were flying all around him.
There was the first 10 minutes just running as fast as you can, as hard as you can for your life. And it was the scariest part is everyone thought there was ground shooters, not someone up in the hotels. People thought they were on the ground, and you open the door and you thought you could just, get picked off.
It sounded like the 4th of July fireworks. I didn't know what it was. It was like cap, 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 cap. And we didn't know what it was. And you could hear it. You heard the glass because we were outside. And then all you just heard was people running and saying, get down, get down, get down, active shooter.
It was kind of shocking because it's a disbelief. Like, this happened like 2 kilometers from where I was at.
If you have friends or family who were in Vegas at the time of the shooting and are worried about them, you can get in touch with Global Affairs. The toll-free number for the Emergency Watch and Response Center is 1-800-387-3124. The email is sos@international.gc.ca. We'll have more of the mass shooting in Las Vegas, including what we are learning about the shooter, coming up on CTV News at 6 a little later on. A pilot is dead and a second person is in hospital following a helicopter crash last night near Campbell River. It happened just north of the city's airport. As CTV's Gord Kurbis reports, the survivor was pinned inside the wreckage.
A Cormorant helicopter is involved in a frantic search for a downed chopper just north of the Campbell River Airport.
It's very close next to the airport, but it's still as close as it was, when the trees are that dense, it really doesn't matter how close it is. It can be in your backyard, but the trees are really, really thick.
The helicopter was a Robinson R-44, similar to this one. 2 pilots were on board, one a woman who died in the crash, and the second a man who was trapped inside. He was trying to lead rescuers to his location.
From what I've been told, he had his cell phone and he was able to send text messages to help find assistance.
The wreckage was nearly impossible to see from the air. The helicopter had crashed into a dense forest.
I think there was a lot of agencies involved that really made the rescue quite timely, actually. The rescue team on the ground, RCMP, air ambulance, firefighters, RCMP helicopter.
Ground searchers were the first to reach the wreckage, then directed the Cormorant overhead. 2 SAR-techs were lowered 200 feet down to the wreckage.
Myself, along with a team member, hoisted to the ground. We had our equipment lowered to us. There was fire services on the ground that were able to help us get to the location, carry the equipment, and assist in the aid for the injured pilot.
Getting the survivor out of the wreckage and up to safety was a lengthy process that took well into the darkness. Today, RCMP, a coroner, and Transportation Safety Board investigators were back into the crash site to further their investigation. The identity of the woman and the name of the locally based company have not yet been released. Gord Kurbis, CTV News, Campbell River.
A motorcyclist is dead after a crash yesterday near the Victoria Airport. Tonight, police are looking for a witness to the deadly crash to come forward. It was a dramatic scene on Mill Road around 12:30 yesterday. RCMP say the 65-year-old motorcyclist collided with a vehicle and was pronounced dead at the scene. Traffic analysts are trying to determine exactly what happened. Mounties are asking a witness who spoke to police after the crash to come forward and provide officers with more information.
A member of the public approached one of the members at the scene stating that they had seen the collision, and then they departed prior to us getting a full statement from them and speaking with them. So if that person or anybody who saw this white motorcycle traveling on Mills Road yesterday at around 12:15 to 12:30 could contact the Sydney North Sandwich RCMP, we'd like to speak with you.
The 2 people in the SUV, a 66-year-old woman and a 3-year-old, weren't hurt. Cold and flu season could hit BC school districts hard this year, and students aren't the concern. It's teachers. A substitute teacher shortage is already hitting the Sault School District hard. There's already such a lack of backup educators that the district's superintendent and other top administrators are being thrust into the classroom. The rest of the story in 60 seconds. Cold and flu season could impact BC schools like never before this fall. The Sault District is dealing with an unprecedented lack of substitute teachers, leaving some wondering if a common cold could leave classrooms empty. CTV's Scott Cunningham has more.
A hiring blitz has meant thousands of new teachers.
Yes.
But in booming BC districts, it's coming at the expense of substitute educators. And parents are worried.
It's concerning, knowing that I'd have to provide emergency childcare for my kids or find someone to watch them during the day.
In the Sault District, the shortage is hitting early in the school year, thrusting even the superintendent into a teaching role.
I would say it's a good 10 years since I've been in a classroom teaching.
The cause was a Supreme Court ruling to reduce class size and hire thousands of new teachers. The effect? Roughly 200 on-call educators the Souk district had in September have been snapped up.
Not only are we looking for people that are not available, but we've just hired another 120, 130 teachers that might get sick as well.
In crisis, Souk has canceled non-essential teachers' meetings and some professional development days.
Inside the classroom, pressure is mounting. We spoke to a teacher in Colwood today. He did not want to go on camera, but told us that he worries if he calls in sick, there may be no one to take his spot.
Hitting the Island District hard, BC's Teachers Federation expects it's only the first.
Really concerned that school districts and the BC Public Schools Employers Association haven't been equipped with the sorts of incentives that would attract enough people.
The province says the on-call gap is a storm districts will have to weather.
That issue isn't going to go away right away. It's going to require some sustained effort on behalf of the school districts. We'll help as the ministry where we can.
Losing most of its substitute teachers, Souk is rushing to hire replacements and claims it will be back to normal levels before cold and flu season hits this winter. Scott Cunningham, CTV News, Langford.
The pressure is on the provincial government tonight to help the Souk district deal with its packed school buses. The fast-growing region accepted a provincial grant, allowing it to offer free bus service. The problem, as CTV's Yvonne Raymond reports, is that program has now become too popular.
Because of soaring demand for bus service in the Souk School District, some students are getting to class late.
It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
The good news, school board officials agree the problem must be fixed.
It's something that the staff is working on every day.
SD 62 superintendent says the issue started with the elimination of a $180 fee for bus service in 2016.
Because the fees have been eliminated, more parents are choosing to use this service.
In 2 years, ridership has grown by almost 1,000 students, creating a need for 3 overflow buses that have been going around high-demand areas to pick up kids who couldn't get on the first time.
What we'd like to do is change those 3 overflow bus routes into a proper route so we can run them more efficiently.
The pressure now on the BC government to help foot that bill.
I'm part of the PAC and we fundraise enough internally. We supply most of the books and everything, even for our own school. So the government itself needs to put some money forward, I think.
The Ministry of Education says districts can ask for more funding based on identified need, and that it will review the board's request once it's received.
I pay a lot of money on taxes.
But if the funding doesn't come through, the district might have to take money out of the classroom.
But we could look at some supplies, perhaps some personnel if we had to budget for those.
I think scaling back really for education on any level is a bad idea.
The district is also considering limiting who can qualify for the bus depending where they live. Answers that should become clear within the next few weeks. Yvonne Raymond, CTV News.
110,000 people in BC on disability assistance are getting a boost in support to help with transportation needs. The province is announcing a transportation supplement worth $52 a month. It can be added to monthly assistance payments starting December 20th. BC's NDP says the change is a fix to clawbacks that were introduced by the previous Liberal government.
If people don't want or need a bus pass, they can use the $52 monthly supplement for other transportation costs. There's absolutely no reason why persons with disabilities shouldn't be free and able to make their own choices about how best to meet their transportation needs.
The move is being applauded by advocates like Inclusion BC. The new program will cost the province $70 million a year. Still ahead, what do you get when you take a dozen golden retrievers and 1 lucky lab to the Nanaimo River? Well, we'll show you just ahead. And later, the story of a boy named Jack and an odd request from a metal circle in the sidewalk. We'll show you what happened at 5 to 7 on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Temperatures are lovely all over Vancouver Island right now. We've got mainly clear skies too, thanks to a ridge of high pressure that's going to hold in place for the next few days. Your evening straight ahead is looking quite nice with those clear conditions through to late tonight. I'll let you know how long the sunshine is going to stick around coming up on CTV News.
Welcome back. On a day like today, there's no better time for this next story. A dozen dogs frolicking in a river. It doesn't sound like much, but this Dog Day in Paradise is an annual tradition and one we are happy to bring you. Jessica Lepp has the story.
It's not your average walk in the park.
This is the best day of the year.
Today is a dog's day in heaven for 12 golden retrievers and 1 lucky lap.
Okay, we're going down to the river. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Dog walker Kim Surratt has rounded up her furry clients for the 6th annual Golden Retriever Roundup at Nanaimo River. A day off-leash in the water for some fun and one giant game of fetch.
They are incredibly happy, and so am I. This is like my favorite day of the year, and we throw sticks, and this is exactly what they want to do. They'd rather be doing this than anything else.
Leaping from new heights and digging for treasures. Surratt thinks she knows what's going through the minds of these sunbathing beauties.
Oh my gosh, I love you, Auntie Kim.
Gary McLeod's Papa Apollo is among the lucky ones who gets to roughhouse at the river.
As far as I can tell, they love it. So it's a special day.
These retrievers are just some of the dogs Kim regularly walks, but it's the Golden's gentle and obedient demeanor she particularly loves.
I love that they are just one of the happiest dogs you'll find. It's hard to find a Golden Retriever in a bad mood. There's just something about the Golden Retriever that everybody loves, and to see a huge team of them together is just a riot.
She figures these guys know they are all the same breed.
I kind of think so. Honestly, I think a lot of them do realize they're with like-minded friends.
Like-minded friends on the same mission. Splash, shake it off, and repeat. Jessica Lepp, CTV News, Nanaimo.
Time for your island weather story with Astrid. Tough to complain about the first week of October.
I know, it's absolutely beautiful, and our temperatures today top 20 degrees in Nanaimo and Port Alberni, 17 in Tofino, 18 in the Victoria area. Beautiful weather even this evening as we start to cool down a little bit, but we do have clear skies north to south on the island. High pressure holding in place. That ridge will be there for a couple of days, keeping that low pressure and stormier weather well offshore. So the island is really in for a beautiful 48 hours. Your futurecast, yes, we're moving ahead with your forecast model here. No clouds on the way. A little bit of fog expected here and there through the early mornings, but beautiful and sunny for the afternoons. That said, with the clear skies comes some cooler temperatures, and temperatures will dip to +2 around Port Alberni tonight. So chilly nights for us and brisk mornings, but warming up to the high teens for the capital region tomorrow afternoon. And through the Cowichan Valley, we'll be up around 19 in Lake Cowichan and Duncan, as well as Crofton, Chimena. So really nice for the afternoons, but a little chilly to start things off early tomorrow morning and for the next couple of mornings. 17 in the afternoon tomorrow through the Tofino and Ucluelet areas. If you're in Port Alberni, again, one of the hot spots being inland after those cold temperatures tonight, up to 21 in the afternoon, 19 in Nanaimo, and up around the North Island, you see highs around 16 tomorrow afternoon. Nice and sunny as we head into the later hours of the day. So here's what's on the way for the next 7 days. And as we look towards the Thanksgiving long weekend, temperatures in the mid to high teens, and we have only a little blip on the radar on Friday. That's a slight chance of showers, not only for the Victoria area, but for the Mid-Island. And then we start to clear up for Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Inland Vancouver Island, I think you might see a little more shower activity, potentially a little windy on Friday, but clearing for the weekend. And the north end of the island, watch for periods of rain coming in Friday, Saturday, and easing a little bit on Sunday. Your extended forecast is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. For reliability, it's hard to stop a train.
Still ahead, sheer panic after a gunman opens fire at a packed music festival. Bullets rain down from high above the concert in Las Vegas. 59 people are dead, becoming the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. Tonight, we're learning more about the man who pulled the trigger. The European Union is weighing in on Spain's political crisis with the Catalonia region. More than 800 people were injured in clashes with police during a disputed referendum on independence. The vote was violently interrupted by Spanish police with orders to shut it down. Now the region's leaders say they will be declaring independence. CTV's Paul Workman is in Spain. We'll have more from him still ahead. Now, more on our top story. A man from Maple Ridge and a woman from Alberta have been killed in a mass shooting in Las Vegas. 4 other Canadians are injured, including 21-year-old Victoria man Sheldon Mack, the son of former CTV anchor Hudson Mack. Sheldon was shot twice and tonight is recovering in hospital. It all happened at a huge music festival on the Vegas Strip, targeted by a lone gunman. CTV's Shannon Patterson reports, and we want to warn you, some of the video is graphic.
Jason Aldean was on stage when it started.
My buddy's like, I got hit. So my buddy got shot 3 times, and then everybody knew there was a shooter.
For more than 10 minutes, a gunman fired automatic weapons into the crowd of 22,000 country music fans from the windows of a hotel across the street.
You could see a guy with a bullet wound right in his neck, emotionless, and from there on in, it was just, people just started dropping like flies.
Get down! Everyone had to fall on top of each other, whether they were alive or not, basically. It's just to stay down, because every time people got up, they just started shooting.
As concertgoers tried to escape the onslaught of bullets from above,
Every time there was a break, we ran.
police converged on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, where a smoke detector was blaring.
Breach.
They blew open the door and found 64-year-old Stephen Paddock dead, surrounded by 16 guns.
We believe the individual killed himself prior to our entry.
This is a crazed lunatic full of hate. We don't know much about his background.
It was an act of pure evil.
President Trump called for prayer and unity. At the White House, a moment of silence for the dozens dead and more than 500 wounded.
I don't know if I have words to describe what we're going through and what these poor, unfortunate victims are going through. We're angry, we're grieving, we're confused. People are hurting.
The question of who caused this hurt has been answered. The focus now turns to why. Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
As you saw in that report, the gunman is dead, turning one of his weapons on himself after taking so many other lives. His brother is speaking out now, saying Stephen Paddock was a wealthy man who lived a quiet life, and he wasn't known to police until last night.
And as we understand, is the house that was owned by Paddock.
Less than an hour after the shooting stopped,
They do have a large crew out here with
police and federal agents descended on the home of Stephen Paddock in Mesquite, Nevada, about 80 miles northeast of Las Vegas. A search turned up 19 more guns, ammunition, and explosives, but no clues about what drove him to commit mass murder. He lived there with his girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley.
We, the Mesquite Police Department, have not had any contacts with these people in the past. We haven't had any traffic stops. We haven't had any law enforcement contacts, no arrests or nothing.
Though a younger brother, Eric Paddock, says the family never saw it coming.
It's just like an asteroid fell out of the sky. There was nothing that would say he would do this kind of thing. And there's no affiliations, there's no church, there's no religion, there's no politics, there's no anything.
He says Paddock recently texted to ask how his 90-year-old mother was doing after Hurricane Irma, and texted again about attending a family wedding. Their father, Benjamin Hoskins Paddock, was once on the FBI's 10 most wanted list after escaping from prison in 1968 while serving time for bank robbery. The FBI described the father as psychopathic with suicidal tendencies. But the son, Stephen Paddock, had no brushes with the law, state and federal officials say. He was a retired accountant after living for a time in Texas and Florida, a multi-millionaire real estate developer, his brother says. Investigators say in the past few weeks he gambled heavily at Las Vegas hotels and casinos
casinos, placing tens of thousands of dollars in bets. Federal officials and gun store owners say he has legally purchased rifles and handguns over the past several months in Nevada. More than a dozen assault-type rifles like this were found in his hotel room, federal officials say, along with some sniper rifles with scopes and tripods. But they haven't yet determined what made them automatic.